Hello everyone. In this recording we are going to discuss about fundamentals of investing. So this would be just an overview. In next few chapters we are going to discuss particulars like how do you invest in bonds, how do you invest in stocks, how do you invest in mutual funds, but this is like an introduction to it. Okay? So when you're preparing for an investment program, it is extremely important that you should have goals in mind. There is a famous saying, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail, right? So you need to plan properly. And for planning, you need to visualize where you have to go. What goals are you achieving? So establishing investment goals are important. Financial goals should be specific and measurable and tailored to your particular financial needs. Ask yourself, what will you use the money for and how much will you need? How will you and how will you and how long until it is obtained? How much risk are you willing to assume? Are goals reasonable and are you willing to sacrifice current consumption to invest? What possible economic and personal conditions could alter your investment goals? What will happen if you don't reach your goals? Consider your economic circumstances. Are your investment goals reasonable, etc.? So consider all of these questions while designing goals. So do you want to actually have that? Is it necessary for you? Are you able to save for it? So consider all these questions while designing your investment goals. And just having a random number, so I want $1 million when I retire, it doesn't achieve. So what do I want to do when I retire? I want to be self reliant. I want to actually perceive things I like. I like to travel the world. So I need money for that. So that gives you motivation to save rather than just having a dollar amount. So it's very important to visualize why you are saving it. Then it gives purpose for saving. And that's extremely important. Performing a financial checkup. So, generally, before you start an investment goal, perform a financial checkup. Live within your means. So, reduce. So, before you save, right, before you invest, first reduce your high interest debt. So, you reduce your credit card debt and start living reasonably well within your means, and then look at investments. Obtain adequate insurance, start an emergency fund you can access quickly, so 3 to 9 months of expenses. Have access to other source of cash for emergencies, so line of credit is a short term loan approved before money is needed. Cash advances on your credit card can be other source. So insure yourself first, pay off your credit card bills, have a line of credit in case of emergency, build an emergency fund, and then plan your investments. Getting money to start an investment program. Prioritize your investment goals. How badly do you want to achieve them? So these are certain principles that are extremely important. Pay yourself first. So this principle states, generally what do? We get money, we spend it, and then whatever is left we save. That's a wrong way of approaching it. So what do you do? When you get money, first save and then start spending. So save, let's say 15% or 10% of your income, and whatever is left, try to live within that income. So that is how pay yourself first principle works. Participate in elective saving programs, so payroll deductions or electronic transfer, so that works very well. So the moment you get paid, transfer that amount into some savings plan. Make extra effort to save 1 or 2 months a year. So you should dedicate few months in a year where you will make extra savings. So let's say on an average you save 15% of your income. In these months you will save at least 30% of your income. So that is, dedicate these months to save. Take advantage of employer sponsored retirement programs. So employer sponsored retirement program means there are sometimes matching dollar savings schemes. So example, I used to work in RBC. So RBC had this plan. So if I contribute $1, RBC will contribute 15 cents to my savings plan. So make use of such plans because they are quite beneficial. Then take advantage of gift, inheritances and windfall. For example, if you're getting a tax means if you're going to get a tax credit, so you can have plans in store for saving that tax credit instead of using it. So many people don't start investing because they only have small amount, but small amounts invested regularly become large amounts over time. So this you have to remember. So amount you save is not important, how long do you save is important. So time plays a very important factor. So even if you start with $100 per month saving, that contributes to a large amount in 40 years or in 30 years. So no matter what you are able to save right now, start it. Factors affecting choice of investment. So safety and risk. The potential return on any investment should be directly related to the risk the investor assumes. Safety in an investment means the minimum risk of loss. The potential return on any investment should be directly related to the risk the investor assumes. This means that whatever risk you are comfortable with. So there are two parts to risk: the risk that I can take and the risk that I am comfortable with. So my risk tolerance, right, my ability to take risk, and my attitude towards risk. So both of this combined will impact my choices of investment. So if I'm not able to take risk because I have a lot of dependence on me, I don't have much savings, I'm hardly able to save, then I need to have a conservative investment plan. If my attitude towards risk is very conservative, I personally don't like losing money, right? Then again my choices of investments would be conservative. But if I have lot of cushion in hand, I don't have much dependence on me, right, then I can assume risk. Same way, if my attitude is I'm comfortable with taking risk, then also my choices of investments would be risky. Risk tolerance is the amount of psychological pain you're willing to suffer for your investment. So risk associated with investments, you could lose all or part of your principal. The purchasing power of investments can decrease, so you are not even meeting what inflation is doing to your investments. You may not be able to receive the returns you expected. So investment safety and risk. So safe investments include savings account, government savings bond, Canada treasury bills, guaranteed investment certificates, term deposits, certain negotiable corporate and government bonds. So all these are considered safe. So savings account are considered safe. So government savings bonds are considered safe. GICs are main instruments that are considered safe. Term deposits, certain negotiable government and corporate bonds, etc., are considered safe. Speculative risk, a high risk investment made in hope of earning a large profit in short time. So speculative risk means certain instruments are extremely speculative. So you can make a lot of money, but you can lose a lot of money too. So higher potential income investment includes speculative stocks, certain bonds, commodities, options, precious metal or stones, mutual fund, real estate, and collectibles. So all this are considered speculative. So whenever you invest, there are certain risks that you need to be aware of. So business failure risk. So if you're investing in a stock or if you're investing in a bond, so you're giving your money to a company to do business. So you are effectively dealing with a business risk. So if the company fails, then the stocks will go to zero and it will not be able to pay its commitments on bonds. So you may lose money on stocks, bonds, and preferred shares. So all these three investments, you are dealing with a business failure risk. So businesses will be less profitable than anticipated, and the value of your stocks, preferred shares, as well as your bonds may fall. Inflation risk, return on your investments will not keep up with inflation, so purchasing power may go down. Interest rate risk, So changes in interest rates may affect your investments. Market risk, value fluctuates because of behavior of investors in the marketplace. So stock markets are an example. So not only stock performance is based on how the company is doing, but it also depends on how the investors are thinking about the market. So if it is a bull run and investments are coming in and it is the markets are going up, you may get return. And even though the company is doing well, but if the markets are falling, you may lose money. So you have to be aware of the market risk also, and global investment risk. So we are also impacted by whatever is happening in the globe. So Canada, it's like a backyard of United States. So whatever happens with the United States, because they are our main exporting partner, so it impacts indirectly us also. So you have to be aware of global investment risk. Then investment income, so you can invest for investment per income purpose. So purchase certain investments because you want a predictable source of income. So GICs, savings bonds and treasury bills are example. So other sources of income are not as predictable. So mutual funds and real estate, rental properties, speculative investments like precious metal, gems and collectible offer little potential for regular. So what is investment income? You may decide to invest because you need a regular stream of money coming in. So possible investments that you can make for that are bonds, GICs and bills that pay regular income. Then you can also invest in certain stocks or mutual funds that pay you dividends, regular dividends. Then you can also buy a rental place, and you can also buy a residential property and rent it out and get regular income from that. Okay. You can invest for investment growth. So investment growth means investments will increase in value. Generally you go for common stocks. So growth stocks are a form of common. So stocks, if you see, matured company generally pay good amount of dividends, but growing companies generally don't pay much dividend. They reinvest their money back into the business and they grow their business. So you have to always take a call. Either I want mature companies that pay me regular income, or I want growth in my investment. So I go for companies that are growing but they don't pay dividend as much. So growth stocks reinvest their retained earnings. Examples for that you can use for growth is bonds, mutual funds and real estate. Investment liquidity, the ability to buy or sell an investment quickly without substantially affecting the investment values. So liquid investments are generally savings accounts and your checking accounts. Stocks of equity financing. So equity capital, what is equity? So you provide money to companies to do business, and in return for that the companies provide you some part of ownership. So equity capital is provided by stockholders who buy shares of a company or stock. Stockholders are owners and share in the success of the company. A stock is a certificate that shows the amount of company that you own. Shareholders share in the success of the corporation and makes it an attractive option. For example, if you invest in Apple, what are you doing? You're giving money to Apple and Apple is giving you ownership. So if Apple does well in future, you benefit from it. If Apple doesn't do that great as you anticipated, then you lose money on your investment. So you share in the growth story of that company. Equity capital is the money that business obtained from its owners. A corporation is not required to repay the money obtained from sale of stock. So if you're buying stocks from Apple, Apple is not required to pay back your money. So Apple uses that money for their business and you are never paid back from Apple. So when you sell stock on the exchange, you're selling it to another investor. You're not selling it back to the Apple. They are under no obligation to pay dividends to stockholders. They may instead retain all or part of the earnings. Dividend, it is a distribution of money, stock, or other properties that a corporation pays to stockholder. Corporate and government bonds. A bond is a loan to a corporation, the federal government, or municipality. Bondholders receive periodic interest payment, and principal that they lent is repaid at maturity. Bondholders keep the bond until maturity or sell it to another. So how does bond investment work? You give money to a corporation or anything, means government, start paying you coupon or interest, and when the bond matures they pay you back the principal, right? So you give money, the corporation or government pays you interest, and when the bond matures they pay you face value. This is how any bond works. Mutual funds. So mutual fund means you pool your, every investor pools their investments, they give it to a mutual fund company. Mutual fund company manages that money on behalf of these investors, and whatever returns they get they pass it on to investors. So investors money is pooled and invested by a professional fund manager. You buy shares in the fund. It provides diversification. So instead of buying one stock they generally invest in an array of stocks, so you get your diversification. Funds range from conservative to extremely speculative, so match your need with the fund's objective. Segregated fund, so an investment alternative in form of an annuity, similar to a mutual fund, but that it provides a certain, so it's a combination of insurance and investment. So segregated fund means there is a minimum payment that you would receive, so your minimum capital is insured, and rest of it is speculative, so rest of it depends on the performance of stock. So it is combination of insurance and investment. Sold by life insurance companies, can be bought and sold at any time. The benefit of segregated fund is it, you can structure it so that it doesn't come into bankruptcy proceedings. So you can structure it as a trust for your beneficiaries, and that cannot, means that may not come in your bankruptcy proceedings, so you are secured in that way. Real estate, you can buy properties and sell it when there is increase in value. The location is important. Before you buy property, consider, is the property priced competitively, what type of financing is available, how much are the taxes, what is the condition of nearby buildings or houses, why are the present owners selling, could the property decrease in value, how will I maintain and care for the property, can I afford the mortgage payment. So real estate is a very interesting thing. So a lot of people think they can make a lot of gains in real estate, but if you see average gains in Canada, it is 3 to 4%. It's not extremely high. So in recent years it has appreciated by 10% or 8%, but overall the average gain is around 3 to 4%. So you have to always remember that. Securitized debt instrument. Securitization means you can buy into mortgages. So securitization is a process in which debt is passed to an entity that in turn breaks the bonds and sells them. So this is wrong, this is for real estate, so location is not important. So what does securitization means? A credit card company has money that it is going to get from all the credit cards that it has issued, right? The credit card debt it has. So what it does, it sells that debt to investors. So as an investor, you're buying into that credit card debt. So whenever the debt is paid back, you get paid, right? So you can buy into credit card receivables, wholesale receivables, retail receivables, and installment receivables. So this is a good way to get into, to buy into debt. So instead of buying a bond, you can buy a securitized instrument. So it exactly pays like a bond. So bond pays, company that is issuing bond pays you coupons. So company that is issuing your securitized instruments pays you when they get paid. Other investment alternatives are a speculative investment is high risk investment made in hope of earning relatively large profit in short terms. So speculative instruments are antiques and collectibles, options, derivatives, commodities, coins and stamps, precious metals and gemstones, antiques and collectibles, etc. These are extremely speculative. So what factors affect your investment choices? So diversification. So most important thing is spreading your assets among several types of investments to lessen the risk. So don't put all your eggs in one basket. You have to spread them out. Always create a personal investment plan, establish goals and determine the amount of money needed to obtain them. Evaluate risk and potential return on different investments. After choosing your investments, continue to evaluate your program. Now, this is extremely important. This pyramid is extremely important. So, this covers different levels. So level 1 is financial security. So for financial security, you invest in cash, commercial deposits, money market mutual funds and government bonds. So these are safe instruments. So when you cover your level 1, so once you have enough funds in level 1, you then choose for level 2, 3 and 4. Level 2 is safety and income. So the investments are relatively safe and they provide decent amount of income. So Canadian securities, so generally comes stocks of big companies and matured companies, selected corporate and municipal bonds, income stocks and conservative mutual funds come in level 2. Level 3 is you aspire for growth. So growth stock, growth oriented mutual funds and rental properties are considered investments here. Then you speculate. So speculative stock, options, commodities and other high risk investment. So how do you go about it? Generally you consider level 1, that is financial security. Once your financial security is taken care of, you have enough emergency funds and enough liquidity, then then you choose between 2, 3 and 4. Generally most of the investors go for some part of 2 and some part of 3 depending on their age. So if you're young, you generally go for growth rather than safety and income. If you're closer means if you're closer to your retirement age, you go for level 2 rather than level 3. Speculation you can go for if you understand the risks that are involved in. Step for effective investment planning: establish your investment goals, determine the amount of money you need to obtain your goals, specify the amount of money you currently have available for to fund your investments, list different type of investments you want to evaluate the risk factor and potential return of investment, reduce possible investment to a reasonable number, choose at least 2 different type of investments, so diversify and continue to evaluate your investment program. So this you can pause and fill it out. So factors that reduce investment risk. So role of a financial planner. So seek professional help from stockbrokers, lawyer, accountant, bankers and insurance agents or chartered financial planner. Be aware of how they are paid and how this influences the advice they give. Generally, you can either have fee based or commission based. So fee based means they charge flat fees but they don't get any commissions. So advice from these kind of agents or these kind of intermediaries is little bit secured because their advice is not tainted by commissions. But if you are working with a commissioned agent, nothing wrong with it, but you have to be aware of the agency problem. So he may prescribe you investment products that are more beneficial for him rather than you. Your role in investment process: always evaluate potential investments, monitor the value of your investments, keep accurate and current records, be aware of tax consideration including tax deferred and tax exempt investments, keep track of capital gains and losses, interest income, rental income and dividends. Check to see if you qualify for a capital gain exemption. So farmland is and certain small businesses have capital gain exemption for around 800,000. So check if your investments qualify for that. Now, where do you get investment information? You can use internet and online services, use an internet search engine, use websites like Canoe Money, The Balance, The Globe Investor, and Investopedia. Online newspapers and news programs are a good source. Business periodicals and government publication, corporate reports, financial statements you get from there. So how a company is performing. Then statistical averages like stock exchanges and means the stock indexes are generally averages, so that's a good source. Investment service and newsletters, desktop and mobile information services. So these are few examples. So this was a short recording. Now this gives you a basic understanding of it, and we'll build on these understanding.